Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Bumper Radio. I am Dave Riccio. Here alongside me is Matt Allen, and we are your KTAR car guys, heard every Saturday from 11 to noon right here on 92.3. At Bumper Radio, we are helping you, the motoring public, have a better overall car experience. If you've got car questions, we've got answers, so we encourage you to give us a call at 602-277-5827. 602-277-KTAR. You can also text us if you're shy at 411-923. Anything you got going on at an auto shop, or as we're talking about a topic in regard to your car, you want to call in, give us a call. Today on the Bumper to Bumper Roadmap, we got some fact or fiction. We're taking your calls, and is your car ready for summer? Top 10 tips for your car for summer. I can't say that 10 times fast over.
Yeah, try a little tongue twister there in the top 10 tips, huh, Dave?
Yes.
Well, the first tip, I'm going to say, you've heard the term rubber, where the rubber meets the road. And what I'm already starting to see on my daily drive up to 51, there's a car in front of you, and all of a sudden they're swerving. You're like, what are they doing? Well, there's a tire carcass in the road, because we're already starting to see tires coming apart on cars. We're just, what did we dip into the high 90s one day this week or the past week? And I think
that is the number one thing.
Yeah, that's it. That's the number one thing is a safety issue, is going to inconvenience you, leave you stranded on the side of the road. You name it.
Nothing good happens on the side of the road with a flat tire. Nothing good. Yeah, I wrote a blog on KTR.com about, can you boil an egg on a sidewalk? They're a little crispy when you get some of those asphalt grinds in them. They're not too bad, but you got to realize those temperatures on the cement are 150, 170 degrees, and that's just rubber. And rubber is what's going to come apart when it comes to summertime. So that's the number one thing to stay off the side of the road. You're taking a road trip. Hey, we're driving to San Diego in July. Tires have got to be on your mind, and I'd rather buy them now. I always buy everything out of season. Don't buy tires at the height of the season in July.
I don't know that it's not like back east or the Midwest or somewhere where the seasons are changing so much and you've got to go get your snow tires. I don't know that there's necessarily a tire season in Phoenix, but when you need tires is when you need tires, regardless of the season. So how do we know when we need them, Dave? What are the things that we're going to check?
Well, tread depth, and we're looking for even tread depth because, if you only see the outside edge of the tire, it's not telling you the whole story. So if you're looking at your front tires, you want to go ahead and turn the steering wheel all the way out to the right so you can see the tread all the way across. Tread depth, you can use Abraham Lincoln's penny. That's what we used to use, but that's out because we drive twice as fast as we used to.
Did Abraham Lincoln have a penny?
Yeah, he did. He's
on
the penny, right?
Did he actually have? Do we have a penny of his?
I think we do.
Okay.
So you would use a penny to check the tread depth, but now we're using quarters.
So what we're doing, what you're talking about, Dave, is we're going to take a quarter now. It used to be a penny, but you take the top of the. It's round, so there isn't the top of the quarter.
The top of the head.
But the top of the head, you're going to put that down in the deepest part of the tread on the tire, and if you can see the top of the president's head, you're in the right range. You need tires. If you can see it's the top of the head.
Time.
And that's around 3/32 of an inch of tread depth. You look at in between the treads, and there's a smooth bar, a tread bar, sporadically throughout the tire. And if that's smooth with the tire, you're done. You're past time. That's 2/32 of an inch, and a tire is completely shot at that point.
Well, the other thing is the torture test of summer is going to tax a tire that is old. People do not realize that, Twinkies, they can get away for being on the shelf for 10 years. They're still going to taste the same. But tires at 5 to 6 years, whether they've got a lot of miles on them or not, they're going bad. They've just been in the environment, and they've got a shelf life.
Yeah, we had a caller last week talk about their tires. Remember, Dave? He was talking about, I've only had this tire in the car for so long, and it blew, and it did all this damage to the tire. Then when we started talking more, he had that tire in the garage for 5 years. Maybe got a special on it or something. And I don't think that worked out so well in hindsight. But like we talked about last week, there's a born-on date, just like your Budweiser, right on the side of the tire. It says DOT, and And then it's got some serial numbers that have to do with are specific to the manufacturer and what plant and such that the tire was made in.
It's the 4 digits by themselves that we're looking for.
At the very end. So, for example, I don't know what week of the year we're in right now, somewhere around the 14th week possibly. So so if you had a tire that said 1414, that would be the 14th week of 2014 that tire was manufactured. So now if you have a tire that was manufactured sometime in 2008 or 2009 in your car, you should really be looking at that. Now, just because it's that old doesn't mean the tire's bad. Maybe this tire was on the car in Connecticut for the last 4 years, and it wasn't exposed to direct sunlight or anything like that. So you shouldn't be too concerned about that, but that's a good indicator as to the life of the tire and should you think about replacing it.
Well, and they're not that bad. I see these billboards, 4 tires for $100. You can just go down and pick up a set of tires. I get a new pair of tires every week.
I don't think so.
You don't think so? A good pair of shoes costs you $100. Put that in the perspective of buying tires. If you're going to buy tires, let's buy a good tire. You know, it doesn't have to be the top of the line, but just a good quality name brand tire. I saw a tire the other day. It was called a Ling Long. It was the name on the side of the tire. Now, you can figure out where it was made.
Well, a lot of them are made there, but when it's just, that's a
Ling Long.
If I want a Ling Long.
Well, the other thing is, tires are going to be the number one thing you're going to run into in summer that's going to put you on the side of the road and wreck your day. You're going to be all dressed up in a tuxedo, headed to a wedding, and your tire's going to blow. You don't want that to happen. The other thing that's going to happen, you're going to be in that same tuxedo going to another big event, and your radiator's going to pop.
Right after you change the tire, you make it 100 yards down the freeway, and the
radiator's going to pop. And this is going to, the tire's going to make a bad day. The radiator popping may make a bad budget for the year because it's going to, if your radiator pops and your car overheats and you warp a head gasket or ruin an engine, we went from a minor expense of having a new radiator put in to a big expense that's going to wreck my budget for the year, and it's not something you're going to be planning on. So we really, really want to pay attention to that cooling system. Just yesterday, Matt, you had a car in your shop where it overheated, and the guy needs an engine.
We had a nice little car, a 2006, so we're not talking about an old car.
New model year. Not too bad.
It's a modern car, if you will. Hyundai Tiburon. In the car, the radiator blew up. The top plastic tank of the radiator cracked, lost the coolant. Now, that can happen anytime, but I bet if we rewound 45 days, 60 days ago, and that car was in a service center, in a shop for maintenance, we might have started to see some buildup around the neck of the radiator or around the top seam. So that's what we're looking at when you get the car into the shop. But it's not only the radiator. Let's talk about the cooling system as a whole. There's a lot of components there. There's belts that are going to drive the water pump to circulate the water. They're going to drive the alternator to keep the battery charged. That's part of the system. We're going to have the hoses. You have upper hoses, lower hose on the radiator, maybe some heater hoses, throttle body hoses. I don't know that. I mean, we're going to be checking those things. And then we've got the major component of the radiator itself.
I'm thinking I'm a consumer, and I'm listening to this, and I'm down at Virginia Auto Service, and they say, hey, come look at your car. You see this green crust growing up around your radiator. As a consumer, I don't know if that's good or bad. So you guys need some baseline expectations for how long these things last. And you were saying before we started talking, because it's going to be all rubber components or plastic components, they're going to fail when you get the torturous heat of the summer. And belts and hoses, we need to start thinking about them at 8 years old and 80,000 miles. That's kind of the time frame. That's where we're starting to pay attention to them. So in the back of your mind, when you're at the auto shop, if you got 25,000 miles on your car and 45,000 miles on your car, and they tell you need belts and hoses, time for, go to bumper-to-bumper-radio.com and find a new shop.
Time for a second opinion. Now, unless they're able to take you out and demonstrate to you, look around this clamp or where this particular connection.
Yeah, there could be a reason why.
Yeah, and that 880 barometer, if you will, comes from Gates Corporation. They're one of the largest manufacturers of belts and hoses and pulleys and systems for automotive, and they make them for Mercedes, Volkswagen, General Motors.
They're an original equipment supplier
for everybody. But it used to be, in the 70s, 80s, even early 90s when we were still servicing the cars in the 70s and 80s, I used to work in South Scottsdale area, and you had the people that would come in religiously. In my car, it's been 5 years. I need all new belts and hoses. That
day's gone.
That day is gone. It can be so cost prohibitive now to just go ahead blanketly and just replace all the hoses, and it doesn't make sense. And that's why when you need that relationship with the shop to talk to you about, we're going to do this one because, for example, this is where the hot water always comes out of the thermostat, and we see this one fail. But these throttle body hoses,
not such a big deal.
we're not going to do that. But the way to prevent all this from happening, I mean, inevitably we're going to replace a belt or a hose or have something, but preventative maintenance. Let's watch it and monitor it and maintain it before it has a problem.
Well, we've got open lines at 602-277-5827, 602-277-KTR. You can also text us at 411-923. You're listening to Matt and Dave on Bumper to Bumper Radio.
My pappy said, son, you're going to drive me to drinking if you don't stop driving that hot rod Lincoln.
Bumper to Bumper on News Talk 92.3 KTAR.
Well, welcome back to Bumper Radio. I am Dave Riccio here along with Matt Allen, and we are helping you have a better overall car repair experience. If you've got car questions, we've got car answers, or at least we'll make some up. So we talked about the minimum expectation. I'm going to answer this quick, and then we're going to go to some phone calls. Minimum expectation as far as belts and hoses. When are we starting to think belts and hoses might be something we want to start to monitor? And, our rule was 880. I wouldn't just 880 just go replace them all. I don't think that needs to happen. No, we don't want. But that's kind of the sort of the time frame in the life cycle of your vehicle where it should be something in the back of your mind. The radiators, we kind of say last 10 years. And in the old days, you could take a radiator out and you could rot it out and you could have it all resealed up and whatnot. In the old days, they were very rebuildable. In the later model cars, they have plastic tanks, and the plastic eventually just deteriorates with the heat and it cracks. So you can still repair a radiator that has a plastic tank on it, but it's less frequent. And the price of these radiators has come down so much that it's cheaper many times just to replace the radiator.
Well, yeah, it used to be when you'd fix them, you'd have a radiator that has two plastic tanks. One tank blows off the radiator, and so you spend all this money to repair the radiator, but you've only got a half good radiator. So that's why we don't do that. But the other thing, Dave, is whenever I see a car maybe with 80 or 90,000 miles on it that does have a bad radiator, what do I always see when I see a bad radiator? Dirty coolant. We see these cars, again, we talk about the marketing department of the manufacturer and the reality of where the rubber meets the road, if you will. The cooling systems are not, that coolant, they say it's lifetime or 100,000. In the reality, especially in Arizona, it is not making it. And there's a couple things that contribute to that. When we're working on cars in my shop, we don't open the radiator cap if it's a newer car. You don't want the oxygen and the other air getting into the system. It's a sealed system. We don't want any contaminants. And the last thing you need is the guy at the lube shop taking the hose and putting water in. You can't do that because you've got the hardness and the impurities in the water. We use distilled water in every radiator and every cooling system service we do. So just getting the wrong fluid and not having it serviced frequently enough. Spend an extra $150, have the cooling system serviced at $50,000 instead of $100,000, and you probably won't buy a radiator.
It's going to save you money in the long run. And that coolant gets acidic over time. So
gnarly.
It starts out, it's pretty friendly, but as time goes on, if you were to test the pH on that coolant, when it starts getting acidic, it doesn't react well. And these are all aluminum core radiators, so it starts to eat that stuff away. And aluminum blocks, aluminum intake, all that stuff. So you get aggressive engine coolant. And we don't want aggressive coolant. So radiator services are not a bad idea. And it should happen at 50,000 miles, not at 100,000 miles.
And with the new radiator cap, a pressure cap is so very important as well.
Well, up first this segment, we are going to go with Henry. Looks like he's in Gilbert, and he's got a 1999 Ford Mustang. Go ahead, Henry. You are on Bumper to Bumper Radio.
Well, thank you, guys. Thanks for taking my call. What I have is I bought this car brand new, and it's got 40-some thousand miles on it. Originally up in Michigan, so it's got put away every fall in October, didn't come out until May. So needless to say, it's pretty pristine. The question I have, or the problem I'm having with it now, is apparently something on the security system, on the factory security system, when you put the key in, it flashes the theft light, and sometimes it'll start and sometimes it won't. If I change keys, sometimes it'll start and sometimes it won't. And what I'd like to do is to actually, I know back in my days in the radio shop business, we had people in there that could use computers and get internal features on and off in the computer for the security side. And I'm just wondering if there's any aftermarket places that will do that, or do I need to take it back to the Ford dealership?
Dave, I don't think that you can circumvent the factory security system. I'm not sure.
I think it's hardwired in. Is that part of the body control module that covers that?
Yeah, I am pretty sure it's part of the body control module. So there's no necessarily a separate security system on the car. GM calls it a pass lock system, and there's a chip in the key. There's a receiver up under near the ignition switch or in the steering column area that's receiving that signal, sending that back to the body control module, which is deciphering the code, and then allowing the computer to either apply power to the fuel injectors, power to the fuel pump, power to the starter, whatever strategy they're using to allow the car to start, or for that matter, not to start. So I'm not so sure that there's no just programming you type in and
bypass it. 99's a little older too. The more modern the car, the more programming and changes that we can make. I call them, cars are just getting smarter. So I look at a car 15 years ago, it's just not that smart. But 99 is not super old. It's OBD2, but I'm thinking it's kind of hardwired in. I've got a buddy who's got a key taped underneath his column. The key's not working, but he needs the chip so his other key can work. That's how he does it.
Yeah, I sometimes a locksmith is good at figuring that stuff out. At my shop, we have the Ford factory IDS. We have the same tool that the dealer has, and I'm not aware of any way to go in there and just turn off a security system.
Well, I know when we replace computers a lot of times for issues, we do have to usually we'll have a locksmith come out at our shop because we don't have all those fancy Ford scanners like you people. And he'll come out and just program those keys so that the computer will recognize that new key. It's not a new key, but it's a new computer. It has to be married to the keys.
Yeah. So, and sometimes those can be difficult to fix. There's going to be maybe some code set. We can go in and look at the switch, the receiver. There could be a number of different things.
Well, I'm going to go with a text here from Joe because it starts out, "Hey guys, love the show." I got to answer this one. My car is a 2006 Mazda 3 with 60,000 miles. Is it time for belts, hoses, mileage? Question. And I think that's what we were looking at as far as, hey, we want to start looking at it at 8 years and 80,000 miles. Start looking at them. It doesn't mean they need to be replaced. We want to start looking at them. 60,000 miles. The car is 6 to 8 years old. Now we want to start, squeezing the hoses. When you squeeze a radiator hose, you can tell how good it is. If it's really crunchy, that's a problem. It means it's kind of breaking up or it's deteriorated on the inside. So you don't want crunchy. That's a good sign. If it's gooey, that's also a good sign that it's time for hoses. You want a nice, supple hose of the word. Supple hose. That's the word I'm going to use.
And on that Mazda, just looking at that 60,000 miles, so I'm thinking in my head, what does this car need at 60,000? Now, I'm not looking at the owner's manual. I'm not sure if that car has a timing belt or not. A 2006, that might be a 60,000 mile timing belt. It might be a 90,000 mile timing belt. So we're going to a cooling system service. I bet on that Mazda it tells you 100,000. I would be flushing my radiator, flushing the cooling system before the start of summer now. Now, it doesn't mean do it next summer. That's going to be good for another 60,000 miles. Put a radiator cap on it. Some of the other things you might be looking at are maybe some fuel injector cleaning services. Now, the belts might be time where they're cracking, and maybe they're not going to make it as long as the timing belt, but those are the conversations that the shop should be having with you when you have your car checked.
There's a reason big manufacturers like to test cars out in Arizona. That's why we got Proving Grounds, because it is so stinking hot here. If it lives in Arizona, it's going to live in the rest of the country. So when we come back, we've got a couple people on the line. You're listening to Bumper Radio.
Welcome back to Bumper Radio. I'm Matt Allen along with Dave Riccio, and as always, 11 o'clock on Saturdays, we're talking cars for an hour. So if you have any questions, problems, anything you want to know about your car, just give us a call, 602-277-5827, 888-277-KTAR. And for the shy types or the people that don't want to call in, you can text us at 411-923, and we'll use that as a topic or answer your question on the air. So, Dave?
Today we are talking about the torture test on your car of summer. And if it's going to break down, it's going to break down in the summer. We're a month away from seeing carcasses of tires laying on the road and people with the hood up and the smoke pouring out, scratching their head. Sometimes I wonder why people lift the hood.
No.
They're on the side of the road. The car breaks down. It won't start. They lift the hood and they just stare. And, I've actually, before I knew much about cars, I've had that sensation.
Well,
what are we looking at?
I know a lot, at least I think I do. And the last thing I'm going to do when my car breaks down is get out and look at anything.
Get out and look under the hood.
No.
Well,
it's just not going to work because there's not much you can fix.
Not much you can fix on the side of the road. And this is a warning, warning, warning. You pop the hood because the car's steaming and overheating. The first, inkling people do is let's pop off the radiator cap and see if it's got water in there. Don't do it unless you want to be scolded.
It's kind of like at the restaurant. Hey, this is a hot plate. Be careful. What the
Touch
first
it anyway.
thing you do is
Mexican food. Why can't you get Mexican food on a cold plate? I have no idea.
I don't want any food on a cold plate.
Can I order my food on a cold plate, please? Because I don't want to burn my hand. Because I will touch it.
No, thank you. No, thank you at all. And Dave, we're talking about the tire carcasses, the belts, the hoses, all these different things that can go wrong. And when my customers are talking to me about these things, maybe we're talking in January and we're just starting to be cautious. My barometer, if you will, is if there's something that is on your car that you've been putting off or thinking about or contemplating, if it's 100 degrees out, as soon as we have our first 100-degree day, you need a head check. Check your car, make sure that there's nothing outstanding that might leave you broken down, and talk to your shop. What happens if I wait? Do we end up like the guy we talked about from yesterday with a Hyundai with the blown head gasket? He took a perfectly good car, and now it needs arguably $3,000 worth of work.
Wrecked his Christmas.
Yeah. So 100 degrees is my limit. We need to have some more discussions once it reaches that point.
Well, we've got open lines at 602-277-5827, and we've got text at 411-923. We've got Harlan, Jeff, and Judy. Go ahead, Harlan. You're on Bumper to Bumper Radio.
Hi, guys. I just got a quick question about, it's a 2010 Nissan Titan. It's the luxury edition. I'm just in the process of buying it. The Fidelity extended Bumper to Bumper warranty. Will that basically cover everything, bumper to bumper?
I like the term bumper to bumper radio.
I know, I figured you would. That's why I emphasized it a little bit.
I like to read those warranties before. You're contemplating purchasing the warranty?
Well, we have it. We're in the process of the paperwork, and my wife read some things on it, and it just kind of threw up some red flags. Like, I think she said that it's up to them if it's manufacturer parts or some things like that.
How much is the warranty?
I think we paid roughly around $3,000 for it.
For the warranty? It's not.
Yeah, and it's got 39,000 miles on it, so it's still got some drivetrain, but it's fully loaded vehicle. I want everything covered if I can get it.
Right. In those, I have mixed emotions about those warranties. I have a lot of negative emotions toward them, but there is some that I really see that work well for the consumer, whereas it was a good investment, and then I see some where it was a horrible investment.
Well, if I make it through, the next 60,000 miles and I have no issues, well, at least I wasn't worried about having issues for 60,000 miles.
Right. Well, the best way to look at those is they're an insurance policy. And I look at them, they're a lot like health insurance, too. They're going to cover most of the problem. They're not always going to cover everything. They don't always cover fluids. They don't cover taxes. They may or may not cover diagnostics. But the difference in the two warranties, too, you say you want everything covered. Well, there's some that cover, they just say, we cover everything. And unless it's specifically excluded, it's covered. That's the kind of policy you want. The policies that list exactly what is covered, that's not the good policy to have because there's so many outs to get out of covering those items. So they're just a crapshoot sometimes.
Right. There's some good ones and there's some fly-by-night. So if there's any of you out there that are considering buying a car and looking at that warranty, do your research on the warranty company. because I've seen those where it doesn't work out at all. It's a fly-by-night deal. If someone's calling you on the phone and wanting to sell you an extended warranty, I'm getting nervous about it. But if you're in there and you're looking at purchasing it, you got to realize that the car does have a factory 3-year 36, or it may have a drivetrain warranty that goes to 100,000 miles for the major components. So you may be buying yourself double coverage that you don't need. So you can wait till the factory warranty runs out.
Just before the factory
warranty runs out, and that's when you want to purchase those things. Otherwise, you're buying warranty they can say, oh, it covers you for 100,000 miles. Well, the first 100,000 miles is already on the factory with their drivetrain warranty anyway. 8 years, 80,000 miles is going to cover the catalytic converter. There are some things that have longer warranty versus just the 3-year 36 bumper to bumper.
And check with your insurance company as well. I know Geico has a good mechanical breakdown policy that you add for just a few bucks a month.
Thanks so much for the call, Harlan. We are going to go with Judy in Peoria on a 2005 Dodge Caravan. Go ahead, Judy. You're on Bumper to Bumper Radio.
Yes, my question has to do with the difference in the coolants. I recently took my Dodge Caravan to the dealership, and they obviously noticed that it originally had green coolant, and it was when I had the oil change, they added red coolant, and they told me that there would be an interaction between the two coolants. And one of the things I was there to have them do is flush the cooling system, and they indicated that there was some type of reaction between the differences in the coolants, and they had to do additional flushing on the system. And I just wonder if that was really necessary, or because the shop that added the red coolant said they'd never heard of such a thing.
I think it's partially accurate. It's not like you're going to mix water and cement and all of a sudden you've got a blob in your radiator now. It used to be we had basically two coolants, if you will. We had your standard conventional green, and then GM came out with red Dexcool. And it used to, so you had two colors, and it used to be, well, you had red or green. Toyota had red too, so there might be some people out there listening. Oh, Toyota had red in the 1980s. Yes, it did. That was just red, the same type of coolant as the green. The colors used to make a difference, but now the colors really don't have anything to do with the type of coolant. So it probably made sense that they had to do some additional flushing if the system got dirty, really, really dirty. We used to see cars with Dexcool, and it was like mud. We called it Dexcool death. It was just muddy, nasty, dirty cooling system. And that was partially just because of people opening the cap when they shouldn't, using hard water, maybe mixing coolants. I'm a big believer in putting back in exactly what it came from the factory. There's companies that make what they call chameleon coolant. It covers all of them.
Red, blue, fuchsia, covers all the colors.
Right.
Well, the right way, if you do have a cooling system that has, got this Dexcool death or whatever you call it, the right way to flush it out is to remove that thermostat housing. And they actually make fittings for auto shops that they can inject water and air into the system and just flush everything out. Go ahead and put in a new thermostat, put it all back together, and then add the right mix of coolant and distilled water and get you back to the baseline of where it should be. So maybe this dealership isn't feeling comfortable with the coolant and they want to take that extra step and do that extra flushing.
Yeah,
So.
and they want to get it out because you got to remember, now that they flush it, now they own it.
Right.
They've taken over custody. They were the last one to touch it. And the only way that they can control and guarantee that their work is going to be good and the next shop's not going to be talking about how bad of a job they did, they've got to get it all cleaned out. And again, with the colors, it used to make a difference. I've got blue in my shop for Mercedes and BMW, but that is not the same blue as the Honda blue. It's a different type of coolant. So the color could be a guideline maybe, but don't rely strictly on the color.
Well, thanks so much for the call, Judy. I think it applies to everybody for a little education on how your cooling system works. We are going to go with Ed in Surprise. He has a 2012 Jeep Liberty. Go ahead, Ed. You are on Bumper to Bumper Radio.
Okay, excuse me. I have a tire situation, and about 50 miles an hour, between 50 and 55 have a terrible singing. So I took it back to the dealership. Well, it has 23,000 miles on the Jeep. I took it back to the dealer, and he says it's your tires. It has Goodyear tires on it, and they were all cupped. Now, I rotated the tires every 5,000 miles like I'm supposed to. Why would those tires cup like that?
Well, the first thing I'm thinking is maybe if it was rotated, if they were constantly rotated like they should, there's something going on with the suspension. Maybe you've got a car that's just out of alignment. 2012 is a little early for shocks and struts.
Yeah, 25,000 miles. He's rotated it every 5,000 miles. It's not a rotation issue. For you, those of you listening, we have tires that actually drive the vehicle, and they're under torque, and then we have free spinning tires. Free spinning tires will develop a cupping because just the way they kind of hop and ride down the road. So when we rotate tires, that's what we want to do. We want to move the free spinners to the drive tires and the drive tires that went back and forth so we don't develop a cupping or a noisy tire. But I'm thinking, we could be towed out a little bit, towed in a little bit, where the car is driving pigeon toe down the road or driving, what's the other thing, a pigeon toed?
Towed out. I don't
towed
know,
out.
Whatever it is, just towed out.
Walking funky down the road, and that's going to create a feathered wear in those tires. And that can happen pretty quick. It's a fairly new vehicle, but maybe I've seen new vehicles come out of the factory off the lot where the alignment was out.
Well, and you hear people talking about doing alignment on the car, and I've talked about it before, Dave. And I refer to the colors red and green. We all have computerized alignment equipment now. So you hook everything up, and these really, I hate to say it, but the alignment machines are designed for dumb people. So all you have to do is hook it up.
So you use one.
And if you can make the measurements all go into the green, then according to the manufacturer, it's in spec and it's good. That is very, very far from the truth. I can put a car in my alignment rack, and I can make every number in the green, so to speak, which means pass, and go drive that car down the road. It's going to drive horrible. It's going to pull. It's not going to go straight. It's going to wear the tires. So it's a lot more than just making it green. We've got to get the specs close. We're looking for the difference maybe between camber and caster. We're looking for how it's going to make the tire operate on the road. So it's there's a lot more to it than just turning the numbers and making the colors turn green.
Make it go green. Well, we've got some text here we got to take a look at. We've got a text here. A gentleman has a vehicle that has 175,000 miles, and he's wondering if he should service the transmission, and if he does, should he reuse the fluid? Because he wants to change the filter.
I wasn't paying attention.
You
Dave.
weren't paying attention.
I was reading.
There's a lot of things going on here, but that is the most common question that we get is transmission service. What should I do? Should I not reuse the fluid? Should I reuse the fluid? You should go get a relationship with a mechanic, technician that can kind of talk you through that, someone that works closely with a transmission shop, or just go make a relationship with a transmission shop, and they will guide you as far as, do I service my transmission? Don't I service my transmission? The problem that I fight as a transmission shop is there is so many bad expectations out there or bad information, but servicing a transmission is a good idea unless it has a problem. If it has a problem, you're just going to kick it over the edge. So don't mess with it.
Right.
Run it till it blows.
And why wouldn't you put new fluid? That doesn't make sense to me. Although I see some of these transmission shop ads for $9.99 transmission check where they're going to remove the pan and replace the filter. They never include the new fluid. Doesn't make sense to me.
What?
Dave, what are you doing?
It's time for Fact or Fiction.
All right, we're going to go to break. When we come back, we got a fact or fiction in relation to hot summer and keeping your car cool. You're listening to Bumper Radio.
My pappy said, son, you're gonna drive me to drinking if you don't stop driving that hot rod Lincoln.
Bumper to Bumper on News Talk 92.3 KTAR.
Well, welcome back to Bumper Radio. I am Dave Riccio here along with Matt Allen, and we are talking about getting your car ready for summertime. It's a brutal time for your car. I think your car just cruises through the spring and fall, and really the stuff happens at the extreme temperatures. And I always say, if you go to an auto shop in July, we are so busy that it's not the best time that you want to get your car in the shop to get it fixed. If you come in the spring, oh man, we just roll out the red carpet because because it's different. It's a different pace for us. So spring and fall are going to be the lighter months for us. So it is a good time to get your car into the shop. And if you're looking for a good shop, bumpertobumperradio.com. If you've already got a great shop, don't go anywhere else. Stick with them. That's an important relationship that you just need. You need somewhere you can take your car and just trust, and you don't have to worry, are they giving me bad information? Are they selling me something I don't need? Are they overzealous? Are they going to put the right kind of coolant in my car? Do they know what they're doing? So we need to get to that fact or fiction. My fact or fiction for the day, and I've heard this, I don't know if it's true or not, but my car's running hot or overheating. Fact or fiction, I can turn the heater on to cool my car off. Fact or fiction? I think I got you on this one.
You think you got me, huh, Dave? Well, okay, so I can turn the car on to cool my car down. Well,
no, the car's already on.
Turn the heater on. Well, it's certainly not going to cool it off inside, but Dave, I know the answer is fact. That will work in some cases. And I've got some experience doing it. I used to have a 280Z. I used to go back and forth to Pasadena for school. And I remember driving across the desert, things overheating, put the heater on full blast. And essentially what you have, your heater, there's a mini radiator underneath the dashboard. It's called the heater core, and it's a heat exchanger. So if the car is running hot and burning up in the summertime and you just don't have any options to either, A, get off the side of the road or to help get it cooled down, turn that heater on full blast, and that will start exchanging some of the heat out of the engine. It's going to burn you out of the car, but I guess sweating a little bit is a lot better than having the engine burned up. It might just make the difference. Doesn't mean you can turn it on and just drive forever, and I'm not going to overheat because I've got my heater on.
And let's talk about that burning up the engine. The last thing you want to do if your car is overheating is drive it to the shop. Don't drive it to the shop and turn the heater on. I mean, you can get away with that if you're Matt and you're poor and you can't afford a real car. But really, we don't want to overheat that engine, warp that head, and cause ourselves bigger issues. The problem is if you see smoke coming out of your car and maybe your temperature gauge is not up and it's steam and it's that coolanty smell,
sweet smell
that we love so much, you want to just pull over.
Yeah. Well, that's just like, again, I'll go back to the gentleman that was towed into the shop yesterday. He actually drove in. He said, it got hot. It smoked when it's actually steam. It steamed up underneath the hood. He goes, and it was hot, but then it cooled down. And when I drove it in that last 15 miles, it didn't overheat.
No.
And what's happening is there's a temperature sensor, but that temperature sensor needs to be covered in the liquid or the water of the cooling system. If it's just, like I explained to him yesterday, you put a pan on the stovetop and just turn the flame on. No water in it. Stick your finger down in the pan. Don't touch the bottom of the pan. Just stick it in the area that would be in if there were water. Yeah, it's going to get a little warm, but it's not going to fry your finger, okay? That's the same as that temperature sensor. It's sticking out into a water passage, but it's got no water flowing across it. So it's not going to read that the car is hot. Meanwhile, you're melting the thing down. It's Chernobyl in there. So now you take that same pot filled with water and then go stick your finger in it. You're going to melt the tip of your finger off.
The question is always something like this. Well, should I drive it in? No! Just get it towed in. That's what you have. Your towing insurance. Call your insurance company. $15 a year. They'll give you towing, and it comes with so many tows and so many miles. We're going to go to a text here on a 2000. I have a 2007 Camry that a puff of blue smoke on initial startup in the mornings. He or she's been told it's the wrong oil that's being used. Puff of blue smoke. Only in the morning, wrong oil. What do you think?
No, I
call fiction.
I guess I do call fiction on that. It's probably got a valve stem seal or something leaking down where a little bit of oil is getting into the combustion chamber, and you fire it off, and it gives that first puff of blue smoke in the morning.
And there are oils that maybe address that valve seal problem. I could see that possibly, an oil that
it doesn't make what we're using the wrong oil. What you're talking about, Dave, is the high mileage oils. And those don't mean you get to drive more miles on an oil change. Those mean that a car or an engine that has higher mileage on it, maybe they start to burn a little bit of oil. Maybe they have some seepage, and they've got some chemistry added to that oil that will just start to make, if there's a seal or something that's hardened and causing a leak or allowing it to burn, it'll just soften it just enough to maybe mitigate that some.
Well, the next one I have a 2007 Honda Fit. When I start backing up, it makes a noise, but Ford, no noise.
That's that reverse buzzer. Is that what we're talking about?
That's whatever you just ran over that's making noise. But, my Honda Element, every morning I put it in reverse and I back out of the driveway and I get a click in the driveway backing out. I go forward, no click, and it happens, but I haven't really tried to figure it out.
Well, is it it could be the brake pads. They've been
seated overnight.
Well, they're going to move slightly in their holders, so they make some contact with the rotor, and there's just ever so slight amount of movement, and you get a click possibly when they're going backwards. It's not uncommon for brakes to squeak on the car first thing backing up. If it does that once or twice, no need to run in for a brake job typically. It's just...
I wouldn't worry about it. And the thing I tell people, sometimes they want to fix every little detail on their car. And even when they come to the transmission shop, they say, well, it does this every now and then. And I say, well, it's getting older, I don't get up out of bed as quickly as I used to, but it doesn't mean you shoot me and I'm dead. It just means I'm getting a little older. So cars are going to develop some idiosyncrasies, a little noise here, a little noise there. We just need to find out what's an important noise that we want to look out for. So thanks, Brianna. Doing a great job in there. Thanks for joining us. If you're looking for a great shop to start a relationship with, bumpertobumperradio.com. Remember never to text and drive, and next week, more tips for summer.